lawyers representing plaintiffs in the NCAA and Power 5 athlete compensation antitrust cases have filed a detailed court submission addressing objections to the proposed multi-billion-dollar settlement. With a final approval hearing approaching, they argue that the settlement, while not perfect for everyone, is overwhelmingly in the athletes' best interest. The agreements include nearly $2.8 billion in damages paid over a decade to current and former athletes, and allow Division I schools to directly compensate players for their name, image, and likeness beginning in 2025. However, objections have surfaced, particularly regarding roster limits impacting walk-on athletes, the per-school NIL cap, and concerns over Title IX implications. In response, the plaintiffs' lawyers emphasize the settlement's historic nature, calling it one of the largest in antitrust history and transformative for college athletics. They assert that over 73,000 athletes have already filed claims, dwarfing the number of objectors and opt-outs. They argue that those opposed could opt out rather than block the deal for others. A primary concern has been the settlement amount, with critics suggesting the NCAA gets off too quickly. The lawyers counter that previous antitrust rulings, such as in the Ed O'Bannon case, demonstrate the difficulty of achieving more significant compensation through litigation. They contend that introducing direct payments to athletes marks a dramatic shift from previous restrictions. The argument that the per-school NIL cap constitutes another illegal compensation restriction is dismissed as contradictory. Those now raising concerns previously defended a cap in prior litigation. They compare the settlement to labor agreements in professional sports leagues, where compensation limits are often part of collective bargaining agreements. Objections about roster limits potentially displacing walk-on athletes are met with the argument that removing scholarship restrictions balances the change. The team acknowledges the impact on some players, but highlights the increased availability of scholarships for others as a reasonable trade-off. On Title IX concerns, they state that the lawsuit did not involve gender equity claims, and that Division I football and men's basketball revenue has historically driven NIL values. They argue that future Title IX implications remain unresolved and should not delay the final approval of the settlement. They urge the judge to reject any request to postpone the implementation of athlete payments pending appeals, warning that such delays would irreparably harm thousands of athletes. They also note the absence of objections to the plaintiffs' request for attorney fees, which could total $775 million over 10 years. With their comprehensive response, the plaintiffs' lawyers seek to secure final approval of a deal they believe will fundamentally reshape college sports.